We have given up ground as a church, as an ecclesia, as a body of Christ. We have given it away. It's not been taken from us. We have given it up.
Babylon has no authority. When I talk about schemes like registration, schemes are created out of greed, envy, and fear.
We've read the end of the book. We know where the victory lies, and it lies in Jesus Christ.
This is what I want to do with fear. Okay? We don't need it anymore. We are the ecclesia.
This is a clash of two kingdoms.
Because there is a science to registration. Did you know registration is an ancient thing?
The Bible is replete with language that is martial, with language that is governmental, with language that is political.
By the way, that word religion doesn't mean Buddhist, Islam, doesn't mean any of those things. It means Jesus freaks and holy rollers.
We can mix church and politics, because my Bible tells me that the government will be on his shoulders.
Hello, Levitical Kingdom privateers, and welcome to the C2K report. My name is Rick Hidalgo, and this is my partner, the swoosh master, Randy Conway. Randy Conway, welcome to the show, brother.
Hey, Rick. Good to be with you for another episode of The Clash of Two Kingdoms.
Another episode. You know, hey, we're like, man, third season, more than halfway through the year. Just, you know, it's crazy. Been together a while, Randy.
We've been walking this together, learning together, making fools of ourselves together.
Absolutely.
Right.
So,
putting it out there.
Thank everybody for being here tonight. We've got another conversation to have tonight. Tonight, I think the theme is be encouraged, for the Lord is with you. That's the theme. Be encouraged, for the Lord is with you. If he is for us, who could be against us, right? So he's the King of Kings, and that's all we need to be concerned about is serving him as king, and letting this Babylonian system know by our actions that we are serious about his kingship. So tonight we're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about staying encouraged in these days as we continue to build this ecclesia embassy. It is taking a little bit of time, Randy. It's taking a little bit of time, but it's well worth it.
You're talking about being encouraged, and the Bible verse that you were trying to come up with, and while you were thinking of that, I had a song going through my head.
Was it Bobby McPherson? Don't worry, be happy.
No, don't worry, be happy.
No, it wasn't.
No, it was,
okay.
Be bold, be strong, for the Lord thy God is with thee.
Yes, that was like a Maranatha song back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember much else of it, but I remember that line: "Be bold, be strong, for the Lord thy God is with thee."
Yeah, in fact, I think you sang that like 10 times in a row. That's maybe the entire words of the song.
That's the whole song. I can't remember the whole song.
Right there, yeah. So, so we want you to be encouraged, and tonight we're going to talk about, remaining encouraged in these times when it seems like, you guys keep sending me that meme where, Mr. Stiffhair is looking at his watch. I want you to remain encouraged, because we are working very diligently, very hard at getting this ecclesia embassy up. It is literally going to be that which it creates a buffer between the Babylonian system and you, so that you, the ecclesia, can do the work of the ministry. That is what it's all about, because we've got a lot of work to do to build his kingdom on earth as it is in heaven, so that when he comes, he'll have a kingdom to come to.
And Rick, I know I can say this on behalf of you, because if it was up to us, we would have stood it up already.
Yeah.
We didn't. done it yesterday, the day before yesterday. Last year, it would already be done. But we run into new information, a hiccup here, or looking for God's perfect timing, looking to be careful, to be, to make sure that the things we're doing are of Him, that we're following, His inspiration. So let's don't mistake, our being diligent in the work that we're doing as being slothful in the work we're doing, because there's a lot of people doing a lot of work. And God's perfect timing. Rick asks you all every week. He said, people ask him, what should I pray for, you guys? And he says, pray for God's perfect timing. And that is why, because we are anxious, just like you are. We are anxious to set this up, but we do not want to we don't want to move faster than the Holy Spirit. We do not want to get ahead of God. We want to follow Him.
And Randy, the truth is, I have observed the laws of nature my entire life. And I've understood that when a horse pulls a cart, it's much more effective than when the cart gets in front of the horse and the horse has to push the cart. Okay. Right. So we are trying to keep the horse out in front of the cart and not get things convoluted.
But on the same token, Rick, we had a couple of meetings this last week, or this week that we're in right now. Yeah. And we were whipping that horse.
We were.
we were whipping that horse.
We've just about killed the horse, but the thing is, we got to keep that horse alive, because that's another thing about the laws of nature. A dead horse has never pulled a cart.
Never pulled a cart.
Okay, ever. So, anyway, lots of things to get to here before we get into our conversation. Actually, we'll probably be having our conversation all the way through. So we'll just throw some ecclesia, the C2K ecclesia news segment. Okay, we'll probably get to that all throughout. So the first thing, though, Randy, before we get into anything else, I want to let people know about. Let's start with the thumb drives tonight. You can actually go to C2KReport.com. That's C2KReport.com, not Y2KReport.com, or not the X22Report.com. No. C2KReport.com. You go there and you go up to the top, and right up on top it actually says thumb drives. Did you know that, Randy? It actually says thumb drives.
And you can actually pay online now if you prefer to do that.
You can. I know, that's amazing. That's an amazing feature. So they got these little plastic rectangular things called cards these days, usually associated with a bank, which I know they're the bad guys. We're trying to get away from that. But the point is, they got these rectangular things, and there's a little chippy thing inside of that rectangular thing, and a number that goes across the front of the card. If you'll use that number in that website, believe it or not, it works, and you can actually get yourself a thumb drive that way. Now, I know I went way basic on you there. Look, you got to understand, I started with a Commodore 64 and a VIC-20. You know what I'm saying? I had floppy drives that were like 1 megabyte. Okay? So I know all about floppy drives, and that's pretty much where I'm still at. I'm a big floppy drive.
Right. But we are glad to announce that, because that makes it easier for people. It should speed up the process a little bit, because once you click on that, the order comes in and it goes to the guys that are shipping those out. And I have to tell you, please, if you don't get your thumb drive as quickly as you think you should, be patient. If you click that, we got the notification. It is going through, and the guys that do this are doing it for almost nothing. They came on board with us voluntarily and said, let us partner with you to help you with things. So, they're doing this in their spare time, because they actually have their own businesses that they're functioning and operating as well.
Yeah, it's they're doing it for almost nothing. We literally have to take a penny and take a little saw and cut that thing in half, just to give to them. So, I'm telling you, it's really complicated stuff. So with that, so you know how to get a hold of some thumb drives.
And that's not just to sell thumb drives, Rick.
Yeah.
That helps us.
No.
It literally helps us.
Right.
And secondly, we always say this, so if you're a first-time listener, there's 9 hours of teaching content, not like we do on YouTube, but literally 9 hours of teaching and questions and answers to people who have specific problems that we address. There is an entire presentation on establishing your house A to Z. There's an entire presentation on understanding contracts and the corporation, and so it's literally legitimate stuff that you're going to find on this thumb drive, and it says C2K report on it.
It does. Pretty cool. And what I was going to get at too is, it's also important to realize that yes, it has 9 hours of conversation on it that are really good, but it's also got a really cool little Q&A session at the end. And in that Q&A session, a lot of questions were asked by people in the audience from the information that was given forth that weekend. And we did do our best to answer those questions back then. But as in anything else, the way we answered the questions then may be slightly different, based on new information that we're given. So always do check in with the latest thing. And speaking of the latest thing, you're going to want to attend the Monday night classes if you never attended those before. I am constantly shocked how somewhere around the second or third session of our 4-session Monday night class, new people pour in and are like, hey, I was referred to you by so-and-so. I'd like to take the class. So you guys are doing an incredible job at bringing in new people for us to orient with the simple understanding of this, of not just learning what the Babylonian system is, how they function, what compelling interest is, but also helping them to understand what the fix is. The fix is God, the kingdom of God. It's immersion by baptism. It's all those things are the fix. And it's because of you that we continue to bring you the Monday night class. We're in the 15th class right now. That's amazing that we've been doing this for 15 consecutive, 4-week stints. Just crazy. So join us in those classes.
And that goes right along with what you were saying about being encouraged, Rick, and it goes along with the fact that we're ready to see this ecclesia stood up. We want to see the embassy functioning and operating. We want to see that buffer between us and Babylon. But those classes are really, really important to all of that happening, because those classes are part of what you have to accomplish in order to become a full-fledged member of that embassy, because it's very basic. It's not difficult, but it gives you a basic understanding. For some of you, it's probably redundant or too simple. For others, it may be the first time you've heard it. But everybody that's coming into this ecclesia that is going to be a member of this embassy, we need you to have at least that basic understanding of how this Babylon system, as we call it, how it functions and how it operates. Otherwise, you'll be coming into the embassy and you'll be tricked immediately and find yourself entangled with the system, and then you'll be discouraged rather than encouraged. And we want you to be encouraged, and we want you to be protected. We want to build that wall, even as Nehemiah rebuilt the walls of Jerusalem. We're going to build a brand new wall between us and this system.
And we're going to get into some of that strategy in just a minute. But once you've come into the classes, you've had to obtain a Shop Your Farm account in order to take the class. So one way to make that $12 a year more valid and more and cheaper is to utilize the Shopee Farm account for video conferences between you and family, you and friends, that kind of thing, and also to go to the forum and to get involved in conversations that are going on over there. Or better yet, find out where your discussion group is taking place in your state and what time that you can join that discussion. Because, guys, there is a ton of work to do on this earth in order to create the earthly kingdom that we're supposed to have, okay? That we're supposed to inherit. If you want to get involved in conversation about what that's going to look like, that's where the discussion groups come in. That's the importance of the discussion groups. So find out where your state meets, when your state meets. Get involved, because I'm going to throw a little teaser out there. There's a really cool something that's coming here in the next few months. Right, Randy? Here in the next few months, you're going to want to be involved with your state discussion group, because let's just say when the ecclesia comes together in a special way, you're going to want to be there.
Yes. And it is in the planning stages right now, and we had an initial meeting in regards to it the other day. We have another one in regards to that Saturday morning, and actually we're going to do that meeting on Shop Your Farm, and I have another meeting tomorrow morning on Shop Your Farm. It's not just for ecclesia or embassy.
That's right.
If you're a member, you get to use that. Absolutely.
Yes. So that's another thing for you guys to consider, is find out where your discussion group is meeting and then get involved in that. Now, I told you guys a little while ago that we were going to talk about strategy a little bit. We have a twofold strategy going forth in this ecclesia. So not only do you have an embassy that's going to take the arrows for you and become a buffer between you and the Babylonian system. As a member of this ecclesia embassy, it's going to be the nation that defends you, because you are a holy nation. You are a peculiar people. You are a royal priesthood. Royal, by the way, is a national term, right? Royal priesthood. You are ambassadors, another national term. Ambassadors of the Lord. You are ministers of reconciliation. You have a ministerial capacity to oversee the stewards of the earth, who are supposed to be doing things in God's way and clearly are not doing so. So we've got a lot of responsibility ahead of us. So the embassy is one aspect of protecting you, but there's another. The other aspect of protecting you is to show you how to build your house in such a precise way that the Babylonian system will have no chance against you, and no chance to get through the front door of your house. We're gonna teach you the intricacies of building your house in such a way to where you have an obligation. You create an obligation to follow the law of your house, and Babylon will really have no recourse once you've done that. Now, that's something that I'm taking upon myself to do. I've created some classes. If you go to the C2KReport.com and go to the bottom of the page, there's a banner to Hijo Private University. Click on that. It'll take you to my website, and you'll see when the classes are going to take place, and there's an agreement form there that you can look at, and you can decide whether you want to be involved with that or not. But I want to encourage you. It's extremely important that once you get your head around the concept of building your house, taking this class would be really something that I would recommend, not because I'm conducting the class, but because I understand what it's going to do for you and for your house.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Rick. And as we were talking before the show started, you were showing me this first class that you got completely filled up, and I saw some state moderators in there of the discussion groups. So your state moderators are looking how to learn exactly how to establish their own house so that they can be there in those discussion groups, on the forum, helping those in their state, encouraging those in your state, and you can be a part of that, because two heads are always better than one. So maybe your state moderator has signed up for a class, but you could be a great advantage and help and assistant to them. You take the class as well, and the things it's going to do for your house aren't just for today. This is going to extend into your posterity.
And too, I'm going to do something real special while we're here doing the C2K report. I'm going to look over there, and I'm going to shout out the state that each person is from. I'm not going to say their name for privacy reasons, but I'm just going to say the state. Okay, I'm going to say so: California, North Carolina, Oklahoma, Michigan, Mississippi, Ohio, Florida, Wisconsin, Georgia, Oklahoma, California, Michigan, Florida, Indiana, South Dakota. Where's that one from? Florida, Texas, Florida. You're hearing a lot of some of the same states here. Texas, got Oklahoma again, Colorado, Hawaii. How about that? Hawaii, and Indiana. So in another North Carolina, by the way. So, and by the way, the class is full. So if you want to get in on the next one, we're going to do another one end of August. It starts, okay? But this one here is full. So so thank you for your support. Thank you for seeing the need for this. I can assure you that when we go through this textbook and you see the things that I've done in my house over the years, some things that I've had to do and redo and do a different way, because I've learned along the way what the best way to do it is. So you're going to see all that stuff in it. So it's going to be really, really worth it for you to condense your education. Take all 10 years of what I've been studying and do it right from the start. So, congratulations to those of you who signed up.
It's that place where people email me, they email you and say, and they have specifics that they want to talk about. And we don't talk about very many specifics on this platform, because we want this platform to stay out there. That's where you're going to get those specifics, the exactly how-tos and what happens if, and this happened, and it is Rick's examples of his actual, literally, it's a book of the testimony of his walk, right?
And by the way, it's you're also going to get the why. So so there's actual principle to it, and so there's just a lot of things, and I'm hoping I could do it in 4 sessions, Randy. I might have to add sessions. I don't know, but we're going to get through the whole thing. We're going to get through it in a very detailed fashion, because I've committed to do that. That's what we're going to do. We're going to get every house so finely built that Babylon is not going to know what to do.
Building on the rock.
On the rock, yeah. Yeah, Dwayne Johnson, yeah.
No.
Oh, not that rock. Not the, okay.
That rock.
Not that rock, gotcha. Okay.
The solid rock.
The solid rock, not the soft rock. Okay, I gotcha. He looks kind of solid, but he's soft. Yeah, he's soft. Anyway.
That's special effects.
Special. It's brush effects, right? Brush effects. So, lastly, I want to remind everybody that as this embassy is being set up, you're going to have opportunity to start uploading your data to the database so that when Babylon calls the embassy call center, there's going to be data there for you to be, to defend you, right? To protect you. So in order to do that, you're going to need to participate in the private ecclesia email.
Go ahead. Tell them how they get that.
So you can contact me at info@c2kreport.com or c2kreport@outlook.com, and you could ask me for the agreement form for the Holy Ecclesia private email agreement, and I will send that to you. It is $10 a year, so another very expensive thing. It's $10 a year, and that $10 that first year, the reason why you got an entire year there is because you've got that long in order to establish your house in such a way that you can provide 4 valid proofs that you are indeed a member of God's family. Okay, a member of the ecclesia who intends to do things according to God's ways, right? And we've talked about those 4 things before, but real quick, I'll fly through them. Authentication, immersion baptism, so a document saying that you've been, baptized by immersion. A diagram of what your house looks like. Okay, kind of give a summary of what your house looks like. And then your ministry, what your ministry looks like. All those together are what we call evidences of a house that's coming out of Babylon and tethering themselves to the vine. Okay? You got those things?
And that diagram of your house, just to be clear, Rick, can I send you a Polaroid of the outside of my house? Is that... No, that's not what Rick's talking about. It's evidence that you are establishing the self-governing apparatus for your house. Mm-hmm. And if you don't know what that means, we've already talked about the classes, and so you'll want to become involved in that. And talking about specifics a while ago, as you were talking about the call center and the database, that is something specific that we can tell people right now that I think is okay on this platform. It's not edit here. No. It is that call center already has active numbers. We're already paying the bills on that service. It's already been established. The database has been built. There's already entries in it, and the call center has some of its volunteers that are going to function and work and answer those phones. And they've already had 1 session of initial training, and there's another session for their training coming up very soon. So there is specifics that are happening, actual boots on the ground kind of stuff that is happening.
And for those of you who have informed me that you would like to help with the call center, but you haven't been contacted, like Randy's talking about. There's some, what he's talking about is there's some people local to him that have been working, at figuring out the call center, testing it, beta testing it, that kind of thing.
Right.
So, we haven't forgotten about you. I've got a list of you right here on the other side. I'm not going to show you, but this is the list of you. Okay. And we will contact you, and we will have further discussion about, what that looks like and find out, you'll find out more.
Yeah, I like that clarification, Rick. Beta testing, because the designer of it said, try to break it.
That's right. Try to break it. And so we got our best breakers. We got our best breakers on it.
Okay. Very good.
Because, the guys say, we got to be honest. There's a reason they call Missouri the show me state. if it can be broken, it'll be broken in Missouri. Yeah.
All right.
So that's really all I got for you guys tonight, as far as news. So boop, 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 boop. That's over now. Okay, the news segment is over now. But what's not over is the number of good dudes in this world. Do you know, Randy, that there are some really good guys in this world?
I'm not going to touch that.
But there's some really good guys in this world, and one of the best, you know what his name is?
What's his name?
Darren Geisinger.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'll agree with you right there.
Darren Geisinger is a good guy, and here's what he's got to say.
Hey, Darren, I heard about you. I need a house, a ministry seal. What do I need to get you? I got it all. I'll give you simple directions on what I need to do it, and it's a piece of cake.
So, Randy, we want to start some conversation tonight now about keeping people encouraged, because the Bible says that hope deferred, makes the heart sick. Mm-hmm. And we don't want people's hope to be deferred just because it's taking a little bit of time to get the ecclesia call center up, to get responses back from people that we've been trying to work with, and all that kind of stuff takes a little bit of time. So we don't want people to get discouraged and start to fall back and say, well, this is never going to happen, because we can guarantee you it's going to happen. It's just that we've been, there's a scripture, Randy, that says, if you ask for a loaf of bread, would your father give you a scorpion?
Right.
Right? There's literally a scripture about that, and we've been asking God for perfect timing. So what we have to come to the conclusion of is that He's giving us that perfect timing, and that maybe it doesn't look like what we thought it was going to look like, right?
Right.
So if it doesn't look like how we think it looks, that's okay. It's just we have to stick by our guns. If we're going to ask God for perfect timing, and I just got a bug that flew in here. What a strange thing. Get it out of here. Okay. So if we've been praying, maybe Klaus Schwab wanted me to eat that? Is that what happened here?
That's a snack. Yeah,
that was a snack? Was there protein in that thing?
A protein.
Okay. So anyway, our Father is not going to give us something opposite of that what we're asking.
In fact, that same scripture, Rick, he goes on to say, if the evil ones, if the pagans, if this world knows how to give gifts to their son, how much more, how much greater does your Father in heaven know what you need?
Yeah.
How much greater are the gifts that He's going to give when you ask? Mm-hmm.
Right. So we remain encouraged, although, like we said earlier in the program, if it were just up to Randy and I, a year ago, we'd be already doing this. But we wouldn't have a database. We wouldn't have any of that stuff, because between Randy and I, we couldn't figure out what a database is, let alone create one.
I can spell it, but that's about it.
I can spell it too.
It's it's
IT.
Letter DATA. It's easy. But is it a database or a database? I'm not sure on that though. So see, we couldn't create it.
Pecan, whatever.
But talk about encouragement. I shared with you a little story that happened to me today that might make a good segue into this talking about encouragement and what God has for us and His timing.
Is this the colonoscopy story? No, okay.
No, in that story. Okay. No, it's a gentleman that actually attended the conference in last October. He saw everything that's on that flash drive, heard the Q&A, was very excited at the time, very excited, and left just gung ho. But like most of us, like myself included, life happens. We get busy. You know, we've got demands on us, children and grandchildren, and house payments and groceries, and Klaus Schwab wanting us to eat bugs, and all these things that are, you know, demands on us, and we kind of lose that enthusiasm.
Yeah.
And I felt compelled to call this gentleman today. I had some need of asking him some questions and some services that he provides. And in the course of the conversation, I kept talking to him about the, you know, how he needs to put back on his thinking cap and get back into the mindset of establishing his house and functioning the ministries of his house. And I explained to him how everything he does unto the Lord, and that the work that he's doing, the ministry the work that he's doing to earn a living actually can be a ministry. And as I explained to him that his vocation, regardless of what it is, I don't care if it's dirt work or plumbing or a doctor or, you know, a shoe salesman, it doesn't matter. The vocation that you have can be a ministry of your house. And he stopped me. And he says, man, he says, I got to tell you, I just got goosebumps all over me. He said, I don't know what it is. He said, but you're explaining this to me, and I'm getting it, and I'm understanding it, and I'm so excited about it again, because just yesterday, he said, I finished a job for a man, and this man was complimenting me on the work that I had performed, and he said, I love your ministry. The work you do for people, it ministers to them. And he said all throughout this conversation, he called his work a ministry like 4 times. And then I called him today and told him how his work is a ministry of his house. And that excitement just rose up in him. And he said, man, I got goosebumps all over me. And that's what I wanted to share, so that others that are listening can realize you have a ministry too. And it can be that excitement in your house to stand up and say, we're going to do this as unto the Lord.
So a couple things that I take from that's kind of interesting. So, you know, we've all experienced that. You go to a Christian camp and you're excited, you know, I'm going to live for the Lord, you know, man, it's going to be great. So many people are going to come to the Lord because I'm going to go home and share it with everybody. You get home and you look at that guy that you go to school with and you go, crickets, right? Crickets. Or you go to church and you get so excited. You're like, man, I'm going to live my life for the Lord. You walk outside, you get in your car, you start to go home so you can live your life for the Lord. You see that Chick-fil-A sign and you go to Chick-fil-A and you forget everything that you just learned at church or experienced at church, right? And actually, you can't do that, right? Because Chick-fil-A is closed on Sundays. But whatever. Good example. Bad place. Good example. All right. But the point is, let's walk through that for a second, Randy, because I want people to understand what that looks like. So right now. Let's say that you're a ditch digger.
Okay.
Okay, let's say that's the ministry that you have. You go around digging ditches so that they can throw a slab of meat in there and 6 feet under. Okay, so you're a ditch digger. So you go around and you do ditch digging. Now the question is, so how have you organized that? Okay, if you've organized it as a function of the state, right? It benefits Babylon. It's taxed, and Babylon gets the tax, and it keeps the first fruits, and it does what it wants to with the first fruits, and all that kind of thing. But let's say you set it up in a different way. Let's say you go to your house, and you're a self-governing house, and you sit down at in the Congress room. I want to call it the Congress room, okay? And you make a decision. You know, there's an act or a resolution.
That might look like a dining room, but it's a Congress room.
It might look like a dining room, but it's not. It's not. Okay. Because there's a gavel on the table. It is the Congress room. Okay? So the point is, you sit down and you say to your family, family, everything, the Bible says everything we do it as unto the Lord. So, what's your gift? What's your gift? What's my gift? Right? And you go around a table and you start writing down those gifts. And you say, okay, now we're going to do everything that we do from now on. We're going to do it as unto the Lord. So you write up a little deal as a congressman of your house, and you sit down and you say, act of the House of Johnson. Okay, that's not the real name, is it?
No.
Okay, good. All right. Act of the House of Johnson. From this day forward, the House of Johnson brings forth the ministry of the house to dig ditches. And every ditch is going to promote the kingdom of God. Okay? Part of that promotion, of course, is you get to feed your family. Right? The other part of that promotion is for what's left after feeding your family, you get to do the building of his kingdom. Okay? Sometimes that's at home. Sometimes that's in the neighborhood. Sometimes it's far off. Okay? Onto Jerusalem, to Samaria, uttermost part of the world. Right? Okay? But you write it down and you ratify it. You sit down and you sign that thing and you say, this is how it's going to be now from this day forward in the house. Now, you just organized it under Christ. You've organized it under a body that exists because of Christ. Because you've tethered yourself to that vine. Your house now exists for the promotion of the gospel of Jesus Christ, for the promotion of the kingdom. Okay? And now, so what's going to happen is from now on, anything that you do, any payment that's made becomes Levitical compensation for that ministry that you have. And you owe no obligation to Babylon at that point. Okay? Do you see the difference between the two? See the difference between the two?
Literally, we use the term kingdom living. One is kingdom living. The other one is Babylonian servitude. Right.
Now, there's obstacles. Okay, there's obstacles to that because the world that we live in doesn't acknowledge Jesus as king. The world that we live in acknowledges Babylon as the system that's, by default in operations. Sometimes they call it de facto, right? So that's what people are used to. So there's going to be obstacles along the way, but as we, the ecclesia, come together and begin to do this work, we're going to overcome those obstacles. Okay, and how do we overcome? By the word of our testimony and by the blood of the Lamb. What is the word of your testimony? You just wrote it. It's your acts. It's your resolutions. It's all the things that you have declared that you're going to do on behalf of the Lord. Those are the acts of your testimony. Okay?
I believe, Rick, the more of us that do that, though, the fewer obstacles will remain.
Right.
That in itself will crush those obstacles. That in itself will literally make those Radonite money changers, Radonite merchant bankers, it will literally put them in a tizzy. They won't know what to do because they will lose their obstacles. They will lose their control.
Yeah, and we'll be building our own infrastructure too along the way because that's what happens as more and more people come along and begin to operate in everything that they do it as unto the Lord. There's people whose callings are, giving and philanthropy and things like that. Those are, in a sense, kind of banking. So we'll be creating a new ecclesia type of banking system. Maybe we won't even call it banks because that word is so convoluted. But whatever we call it, there'll be some way for us to be able to exchange. And we've got to create
those
that.
obstacles. Yeah. Those obstacles, I truly believe, for everyone that comes into this ecclesia and becomes a member of this embassy, those obstacles will begin to diminish until when we have established when we're more of us than there are of them, what will that look like? What will that look like? Because those obstacles that you're referring to, let's call them strongholds. And God has provided us with something that brings down strongholds. He says the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but they're mighty through God to what? The bringing down of strongholds. So
very good.
Come join us and let's bring down those obstacles. And there will be obstacles. Thank you for being honest with people as you're sharing, as we're tearing this testimony apart. This is a real testimony, by the way.
Yeah. No, but it's incumbent on us to understand that there's going to be obstacles because, look, this Babylonian system, really what it is, it's an obstacle. It's an obstacle to the kingdom of God. I mean, that's what it's there for. It's there to be an obstacle. It's a snare. It's a trap. It's a place for the one who wants to steal, kill, and destroy to lay down his traps and his snares to be able to capture you and take you to his abode so he can kill, steal, and destroy. That's what he does. So we're going to encounter some places where maybe some things are a little bit more difficult, but there's a way. God always provides a way. In fact, there's a scripture that I've been sharing lately with groups, and I'm just gonna go find it real quick here. It says this. That's not the one. This is the one. There hath no temptation taken you, but such as common to man. But God is faithful, who will not suffer you to be tempted above that ye are able, but will with the temptation also make a way to escape, that ye may be able to bear it. And then he follows that up by saying, wherefore? So because of, my dearly beloved. Who is he talking to? Is he talking to the Babylonian people? His dearly beloved? He's talking to his sons and daughters, okay? My dearly beloved, flee from idolatry. So how do you escape? Flee from idolatry. And I'll tell you what, right now, there is no system anywhere in the universe that represents an idol more than the Babylonian system. It is nothing but an idol. You could say it's an American Idol, but that's a show. Yeah.
I saw what you did there. You snuck one in, didn't you? Well, and we tend to lend verses like that to a very narrow understanding because that's what we learned in Sunday school. That's what the preacher said.
Right.
But if we'll take that word temptation and understand that applies to those obstacles because they are a temptation to say, oh, I can't do this. I have to go back and do this because Babylon said so. Yeah. I have to go through this. But God has made a way of escape. He's always made a way for his remnant. There is a way that seems right to you, but the end thereof leads to destruction. And actually, the followers of Christ at one time in our history were actually called what? Followers of the way. Because it's not the way that seemed right, is the way that was right, is the way that was professed by the King of Kings. And Satan wants to be king. That's why he established this Babylon system. That's a world system. He wants to be king. But my Bible says there is a king who is above all.
Can I tell you a story?
Tell me a story.
Once upon a time, there was a people that God called the apple of his eye.
Right.
Okay. He told those people to flee from idolatry. So they left Egypt with everything that they had on their back. Okay? All the silver and gold of Egypt, everything. All the cattle, all the livestock, all the people of God's eye, the apple of his eye. They all left. Okay? Now, you would have thought that that was the end of the story. Okay, they're gone. Party time, baby. It's, let's go, right? But they got pinned against a huge body of water. They couldn't go to the left. They couldn't go to the right. They couldn't go back. They got pinned against a body of water. Do you know that God made a way of escape for those people?
Mm-hmm.
He made a way of escape that actually broke all the laws of nature.
Mm-hmm.
Never before in the history of the world had a sea split open so that the land was dry in between.
Right.
Never before. Yet, in a moment when the apple of his eye needed, yeah, that's almost a little bit of a prophetic thing, the apple of his eye. Anyway, but the apple of his eye, when they needed him, they were in a moment of absolute needing a way of escape, or else they were going to be absolutely annihilated and destroyed, right?
Right.
What did God do? He broke his own law. Are you hearing me? He broke his own law to open up the sea, and not just open it up so that they could cross over all this mud, and crush a bunch of sand dollars and have manta rays biting them and stinging them and killing them like Steve Irwin or whatever. None of that stuff happened. There wasn't shark bites while they were crossing the Red Sea.
It said dry land, didn't it?
Dry land. He broke so many laws of nature in that moment in order to create a way of escape. But what was it that they did? What was it that they did where God had to honor, had to honor it? He had to honor his promise. They fled idolatry. Mm-hmm. He said, "Dearly beloved, flee from idolatry." I'll make a way of escape, but you better flee from idolatry. Man, time and time again through the history of the world, God has done it so many times. He breaks his own laws of nature just to get us out of situations and pickles that we put ourselves in. So, brother, can it get more encouraging than that? I don't know.
If you're serving the king, if that is the principal goal of your house, to serve the king, and you understand who the principal is in the kingdom, that is the king, and you go back to the word and look at how many verses refer to him as your guard, your shield, your buckler, time of shadow of death, and when not to fear, and all the rescue that he has provided through the historical documents as well as through the promises. Why do we act like we act?
Stupidity? Can I offer that as an option here?
It's like we talked about the 23rd Psalm before we started the show, and it's probably one of those. You people who've never read the Bible, they know the 23rd Psalm.
I like how you portrayed this. Go ahead.
Well, it is. It's just it's a popular verse, and it because it's an encouraging verse. But even if we're facing death, the writer of that psalm says, "I'm not going to be afraid." He talks about provision. He's going to lead me to green pastures. He talks about provision. He says, "I'm not going to fear even death." And even towards the end, the last verse of that chapter 23, he says, He prepares before me a table. And where does he put it? In a closet someplace so nobody really knows that God provided for you, right? So that nobody knows God protected you. No, he says, right in front of my enemies. Those who tried to destroy me, those who said God is dead, those who said you can't build an embassy, those who said you can't build an ecclesia, those who said that's not the way to do it. no, we have to follow these rules and these statutes and these codes. In the front of all of those naysayers, he puts up a banquet table and sets us at this table in the presence of our enemies. It's like, talk about in your face, Satan.
I mean, Klaus Schwab was watching us
Right.
eat at the feast, right? He was watching us eat. I'm saying Yuval Harari was there. He was looking over your shoulder, Randy, while he was scheming to steal your DNA and all the intelligence that you have, which is a lot, because this is an intelligent guy. I'm saying, wow, that's just what a picture that you just provided in the presence of our enemies.
Yep. That's our king.
Can we simplify this? I mean,
Sure.
I feel like it can't get any more simple. And this is what we need to be encouraged about. Jesus is king. A king is one who has authority over all the land. He holds an executive position. Now, an executive position doesn't mean that he rules over the land. That's the misconception that we have about kings. Kings are servants. They have a servant role over the land. They are the chief executive officer of the land. They are there to enforce the law. That's what they do. They enforce the law. They do not rule over a land. God rules over the land. The king, he is but the enforcer of God's law. Period. Okay? Period. That's what he does. Jesus is a king enforcing his Father's law. It's just that simple.
Right.
And all these other law forms out there, all these other Babylonian type law forms are all law forms that are subverting the Father's law. They're subverting it. Our job is to say no to Babylon. Just that simple. Our job is to say, no, Babylon, Jesus is king, and he is enforcing the laws of his Father, and that's the law I'm gonna follow. Okay? That's the law I'm gonna follow. Now, he calls it in the New Testament the law of liberty. Why is it called the law of liberty? Well, because he also says in the New Testament that his yoke is easy. His burden is light. Limited government. You ever heard that term before? Limited government. Okay? He is not one that is harsh. He is a servant. He loves his creation. And if you think he loves his creation, you should see what he thinks about his sons and daughters.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? He's got such a love for his sons and daughters that one day there's a marriage feast that's going to take place. So, guys, we have literally nothing to fear. All we have is excitement before us as we come face to face with the fact that Jesus is king, and that everything we do, as long as we act righteously and obey the laws of his Father, what can go wrong?
As you're saying that, Rick, it makes me think I need to say we are not building an embassy, and we are not building an ecclesia. This is his kingdom. He already built it. He paid all the price.
True.
We're the living stones. We're the material of it.
Yes.
We've just got to come together under his law, under his rule, follow his way. He is the one that is building it. And yes, there will be obstacles. But Jesus, what did Jesus say about obstacles? He says, in this world, you will have much tribulation, but be of good cheer, for I have overcome the world.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with the one who's already overcome the world and quit fearing the world. And I'm going to be encouraged in the fact that he's overcome it and we get to be in
I'm
his
so glad you said that. Did you hear yourself? That was a past tense phrase. He has overcome the world. He's not someday going to overcome it.
Right.
He's already overcome this world.
Right.
The Bible says that we are overcomers. It doesn't say we're going to overcome. It says we're overcomers. So we are, right? So stop this crazy thinking that the only thing that we can do at this point is sit at a rock, stare at the eastern sky, and say, "Come, Lord Jesus." Stop it! Stop it, please! No! No! No, 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 no. He's already come. He's already come. When he comes back, that's not going to be good. No! At first, it's going to be really bad. Your neighbor may not have a head by the time he passes your street. It's not going to be a good thing. He's coming back on the back of a charger. Do you know that chargers are not horses that you ride for leisure?
Right. They're
Okay.
war horses.
Yeah, it's a war horse. He's going to come back with a sword. Two-edged. Okay? It's not like, hey, one for lopping off, one side for lopping off, and the other side for, like, shaving. No. Okay? It's two-edged because it lops going and coming. All right? So we've got to stop this craziness of thinking, "Come, Lord, come. Come, Lord." You know what? He's already come. That's done. That's over, man. That's over. He's already come. That doesn't mean that we're in the millennial reign of Christ. Don't get me wrong there. I don't want you to think, oh, you're one of those guys that think that we're in the king, in this millennial reign of Christ. No, we're not in his millennial reign. He obviously is absent. Okay? He's not here. That's why we're here.
We are the temple. We are the Ark of the Covenant. We carry his spirit. And we used to sing a song, I'm sure you did too, "We'll work till Jesus comes." And not we'll watch till Jesus comes, but we'll work till Jesus comes. In fact, there was a time when he ascended and he said, "Wait here, the Holy Spirit's going to come and empower you to do the work that I've called you to do." And he instructed them, said, I want you to go to these places, I want you to teach these things, I want you to all, and he ascends, and everybody's standing there like you described on this rock looking up at the sky. And there's angels appeared and says, "Why are you standing here looking at the sky? You just got given the job to do, go do it."
Randy, when's that going to happen again?
No man knows the day nor the
No,
hour.
no. I mean, when is it going to happen that he's going to come and empower us to do his work?
That's a past tense event.
That already happened?
That's a past tense event.
Okay. See, man, here I was thinking that, that's going to come at some time in the future. That right now we're just a bunch of worms.
Well, Rick, it's kind of amazing that you wanted to talk about encouragement today, because I'm human just like you're human, and I had a rough day. And you know what my wife said to me today?
Oh boy.
She said,
"Wives are great at this. Go ahead."
"In this world, you will encounter a great deal of tribulation, but be of good cheer, for he's overcome the world." She told me to be of good cheer today. Really wasn't of that mindset to come and do a program about encouragement, to encourage others. And boy, did you put me on the spot to have to be an encourager tonight.
Was your wife, I just want to clarify this, was she trying to tell you to watch Cheers Is that what was going on there?
No, she was trying to minister to me, brother.
Oh, okay. So she was telling you to be of good cheer. She wasn't telling you to watch Cheers.
Right.
Okay, all right.
That's like you snuck in there. Well, you're sneaky tonight.
Yeah, you got to be kind of sneaky, man. People like it when we use the old references like that, so it's a thing. So go read the comments sometimes, man. People comment on that stuff. But don't read all the comments, because some of the comments aren't very nice to us, Randy. So it's okay. Yeah. But well, you know what? But I'm of good cheer. I'm of good cheer because I'm encouraged. I'm encouraged because every time I get a chance to talk about my king, every time I get a chance to talk about his legitimate reign right now, the fact that he reigns and rules right now, and that we are his ambassadors right now. In fact, in that book that we often quote, 2 Corinthians 5:17 through 20, that talks about us being ambassadors of Christ. You know what? That's not future tense.
That's not a gonna be, huh?
No, it's not a gonna be.
It is.
That's an is, yeah. And that was an is back then.
Mm-hmm.
So if it was an is back then, it's still an is. So, yeah, you know what? I'm encouraged. I'm glad that we had this conversation tonight, Randy, to encourage the ecclesia, to encourage the people of God, and to encourage you, by the way, to share this with other people, because, you know what? We're still too small. We still got to find others who also acknowledge our king as king. We need to find those other people, and we need to bring them in. Okay, because I know that they're out there. I've attended church with people like that. Okay, now, because of the wild doctrines of some churches, they may not see it like that. They may still think that Jesus is a coming king. Okay, but you know what? That's an easy fix. Once you start looking around and you look at Babylon and you say, wait a minute, this can't be of God. That's an easy fix. So, Randy, I don't know, do you got any encouraging poems for us tonight?
I do. I pulled one up. So, you got any final encouragement or anything before we read that?
Well, and I've been thinking about that. I just want to use this opportunity to say that this week I have shipped out 19 books, 19 textbooks. Of the 25 people who are going to attend this first class, 19 of them are shipped out. There's been no greater joy than me standing in front of the clerk at the post office and having her ask me, what are these? And me getting to tell her that this is the most amazing self-help book that God has ever ordained. Well, outside of the Bible, because that's a self-help book too. But
right.
But this self-help book is going to help people to organize their house in such a way that God's kingdom will take 3 steps forward. Okay? So I am extremely encouraged this week, but I am extremely tired because I have never been a fulfillment department and a shipping department at the same time. And I'm realizing how much work it is.
Right.
It took me an hour just to print a few invoices. That's how crazy this week has been. So I'm very thankful, Randy, for the collection of friends that we have met along the way, and
right.
for the people that are in this battle with us. We are an army of destiny like none other. Mm-hmm. In fact, I want to give somebody, Melissa Redpill, I want to give her a little credit. Okay? Or is it Melissa Redpill the World? Is that how
Melissa Redpill the World, yes.
Yeah. I want to give her a little bit of credit because she talked about this modern day ecclesia as being the Joel army. You know what? We are the Joel army. We are the army that runs upon the wall. You know, it makes a song come to me that I just want to sing, you know?
Right.
But anyway, you know, blow the trumpet in Zion, baby, you know?
Yeah. Well, you know, Rick, you were talking about being thankful. Before I read this, I want to say I'm thankful for those who tune in, who watch us. I'm thankful that they allow us to do all this talking and announcements that we do at the front, because not by choice, it's kind of by design of God that it just kind of happened that way, that we have become the voice of the embassy. So we find it very necessary to let people know what's going on with the embassy of his ecclesia. So thank you for listening and listening to all those reports, and we'll continue to give you embassy updates here and talk about what God is doing, and then have our conversation. So I want to thank those who listen, those who give to the C2K report and give to the embassy, and you can still do that. You can
Yes.
I don't even know if this is an appropriate time or place, but if you send it to the Ecclesia Assembly at 21829 Lawrence 2080 Ash Grove, Missouri 65604, and we've told you before, the C2K report is a different endeavor than the Ecclesia and its embassy. So if you want to donate to the embassy, put embassy in the memo line of your check. If you want to donate to the C2K report, you have to put C2K in the memo line, because the default is going to the embassy to build God's embassy
Yes.
of his ecclesia.
Perfect.
So thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you. Well, I'll close with this, and I call this one, Rick, I call it He Has Done It. And it actually comes from Psalm 22:25, which says, He is the theme of my praise. The sound of morning in the night, there is a feel of wetness on my pillow. It is but the footprint of my tears. Peace in the midst of storms is more than a promise. He has done it. The perpetual nature of pain, it permeates time while awake or in slumber. A thorn in my flesh, is this my cross to bear? By his stripes we are healed. That's more than empty words. He has done it. Chains that hold the chains that hold me, whether placed upon me by unseen hands, or like Dickens Marley, the construction of my own device, it matters not. I'm captive. A promise not unfulfilled, to set captives free. He has done it. Encumbered by thoughts I cannot escape, blinded by dark clouds, their origin a mystery. Do my thoughts control me? Do I control my thoughts? A new heart, a new mind, more than a longing. He has done it. I am unable to pay for yesterday's pleasure and lack the ability to pay for tomorrow's necessities. Each sparrow is known, lilies are adorned in glory. I shall not want, for he has done it. To heal the sick, to give sight to the blind, to bear good news on the breath of dawn, to release the prisoner and set the captive free. These are more than history, more than prophecy. He has done it. With fear and trembling I strive for righteousness, but principalities and powers stand in the way. I'm still clothed in the uniform of flesh, but long to be clad in the garments of the saints. This is not an empty wish. He has done it. I will call upon the Lord because he has done it. I will humble myself under his mighty arm because he has done it. I will rejoice in God my Savior because he has done it. And I can because he has done it. And it is finished.
Amen and amen. Man, that's fantastic. And just a couple reminders. Number one, Nothing you've heard here is Russian disinformation. Never. We don't do that. Also, if you hear that Randy and I went down in a submarine to the bottom of the Marianas Trench, it's a lie, because neither one of us would ever do that. Everything we do here at the C2K Report, it's all about the blood.